powers are legendary. Their origins are unknown. Their methods are extreme.
And the game is on.
LXG, the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Well, it's week 11, guys. It's here, and that playoff race is starting, and it's about to get hot. We got some really nice matchups this week. I mean, again, pretty much they all count for something. Either if someone's going to play a spoiler, or we're going to have battles for the playoff spots starting right now. But our three biggest games for this week are going to be our 7-3 second place Barbarians versus the 5-4-1 7th place Chi-Town Beatdown, where if Josh can get one more win in a row, he can really crack into the playoff race and get things going. And if Craig gets another win, it'll give him 8 with 3 games to go and pretty much lock him into the playoffs. Just one more win should get him there if he wins this week. Then we're going to have the 5-5 8th place Carlos taking on the 6th place 6-4 Bag of Ditkas. Same kind of thing here. If Steven get another win, get his win streak up to 4 games, get a 7-4, he's going to put himself deep in the playoff race and put Carlos on the brink of elimination. But if Carlos can get this win, both be 6-5, right in the thick of things. And our last really big game for the week is the 3rd place 6-3-1 Dirty Slovaks versus the 5-5 9th place Joski. Again, Joski is the lowest ranked 5-5 team, but again, he still has a chance, very good chance. If he can get this win this week, not only will he be pushing himself up there, but he's going to be taking down the 3rd place team, which is what he's going to have to hope for if he's going to sing into the playoffs. That hopefully the 3rd, the 4th, or maybe even the 1st place team gets a couple losses and falls out. My first recap is Adamas Llamas versus Hot Maneuver. So we're going to start off one of our spoiler opportunities as Ben will have a chance to put a big dent into Adamas' playoff hopes. In this game, we have the 6-4 Adamas Llamas in 5th place, of course, and the 3-7 13th seeded Hot Maneuver. Their original projections were 101 to 69. After Thursday, though, it was a little bit closer at 98 to 67 after Adama only got 4 points from Juju Smith-Schuster and Ben only got 3 from Derrick Henry. In this game, we're going to have a battle of 2 of the top 10 quarterbacks in fantasy this year, as number 6 Tom Brady is going to go to Oakland and number 8 Cousins will play New Orleans. Both squads have a good group of wide receivers going this weekend. Bryant, Sanders, and Crowder for Ben should hold their own against Juju, Baldwin, and Evans, though, so I think they're going to cancel each other out. But the matchup is very lopsided on paper, at least, is at running back, where Adama's going to be starting out with LaShawn McCoy at the LA Chargers and Kareem Hunt at the New York Giants, versus 3 from Henry already, and then just DeAndre Washington playing at New Orleans. While Washington may actually be a decent play, have a good day because they're going to play in the Patriots, so he'll probably get lots of run. Well, maybe not many runs, but some catches out the backfield at least. I think Hunt's going to go full ham. I think Hunt's going to get back to the first 3 weeks that he had of the season, put up probably over 20 points this game because the Giants seem to have melded in this year. They're not really playing that hard, and their best defensive run stopper, it's got a busted ankle, it sounds like, and he's highly questionable. So even if he does play, he's probably going to play a little like half the game, because he subs in anyway, so he won't be there full time. So yeah, in this game, I picked Adama to win it, and my call is that Hunt is going to go ham, and he's going to go over his projected score of 16, and that's my call.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. It's the Week 11 preview show for the Fantasy League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and means we're coming down the home stretch here. Just 3 weeks remaining in the regular season, and so there's some jostling still to do at the top. Down there at the bottom, hope is fading for a playoff berth, and somewhere in the middle there we got some folks playing for pride. So let's get right into it. My first matchup is Excuses Start Soon versus Kneecaps. And most of you guys probably don't know the proud owner of Excuses Start Soon. He's my buddy Matt, lives here in Rogers Park, Chicago, along with me. Matt's one of my favorite guys to hang out with. He has a ton of passion for fantasy football and loves to just talk drafts and players and projections and all things that are great about this game that we play. But Matt's really taken a beating this year. I don't really know how else to describe it, but after last week, he pretty much declared that his fantasy season is over in all of his leagues. In our FanDuel league, I think he's just thrown in the towel this year. I guess when you look at his team name, you knew it was coming. The excuses would start sooner or later, and looks like that time is now, as he's got most of his team on a bye. And doesn't look to be putting in much in the way of replacements. So I think it's safe to say that Excuses Start Soon is bowing out of this season, as he's sitting with Frank Gore, Jonathan Stewart, Graham Gano, Carolina defense, all on a bye. Still got one of his keepers, Terrell Pryor, who didn't pan out for him this year, but he still got him in his lineup as well. And so looks to be a cakewalk here for the Kneecaps. Let's highlight some things that I like on the Kneecap side of things. I really like his receiver trio this week. He's looking at Crabtree going against New England, which looks to be a high-scoring game there. He's also got Marquise Lee going against the Browns. He'll become the de facto number one with Alan Hearn sitting out this week. And he's also got Marvin Jones going against the Bears. Bears defense looking a little bit more vulnerable these days, and Detroit can do nothing but throw the ball. I like those three wide receivers there for Kneecaps. Projected score right now is Kneecap 78 to Excuses Start Soon's 38. So we'll see what happens here. Maybe Kneecap's team goes crazy and maybe gets one of the high scores of the week. But I have Kneecaps winning in this one. And my pick is that Excuses Start Soon doesn't crack 30 points.
In my next matchup, I have the 7-3 second-seeded Barbarians versus Chi-Town Beatdown at 5-4-1 and in 7th place. And here's where we got to start throwing out some numbers of the points, because this is going to boil down to tiebreakers probably with some 8-6 teams or maybe some 9-5 teams to get that last two spots in the playoff. I forgot to mention it for Adama, but he is currently in 2nd place in total overall points, which puts him in a really good spot for tiebreakers as long as he can keep winning some games and stick in that 4-spot range. For the Barbarians, they're 8th in points, so they really need to get this win and keep themselves out of the fray, because they're not going to win many tiebreakers with sitting 8th in points. While Chi-Town Beatdown is actually 5th in points and has that tie, so it's going to make it a little bit interesting if it comes down to it, because if they tie someone, if they get 9 wins, the person has 9 wins, that person's going to have 5 losses. Josh is only going to have 4. So we'll see what happens here. But it's time to start thinking of those tiebreakers, guys. Again, that's why we always have to plug someone in. Doesn't matter if you got the win, or if you think you got the loss, just plug someone in, because those points, you're gonna need them come week 14. The original projection for this game was 84-86 favoring Chi-Town Beatdown. But after Thursday, it is 103-84 after Antonio Brown got 3 touchdowns and 32 points on Thursday night, while DeMarco Murray got 4 and Delaney Walker got 9 for Josh's team, putting him in an early hole after Thursday night. In this game, for Craig, Phillip Rivers has cleared the concussion protocol, and I think that gives Craig's team, the Barbarians, a huge boost, and I think that's going to put this game out of reach for Josh. But he will put a scare into Craig with a lot of big games early. He has Michael Thomas versus Washington, Robert Woods at Minnesota, and Mark Ingram versus Washington. I think all 3 of those games will be decent enough to make him come back from Antonio Brown. But Craig has a lot of late games going, so I think when the dust settles, Craig's going to get this win. And again, he has Ingram, which is great. Ingram's been killing it. He's been getting Josh a couple wins here in a row. The only problem is his backfield partner, this week's Willie Beeman, Alvin Kamara, has also been killing it. And he's sitting there across the matchup in Craig's team. So I think those guys are probably going to just about cancel each other out. So at the end of the day, again, Josh just isn't going to have firepower to make up for Antonio Brown's 32 from Thursday Night Football. And Craig also made a very rare for him early week appearance this week and picked up a tight end, Jared Cook, off the free agency pool. And I think that was a really smart move. He's going to New England. And the great thing about it is in games where they have a less than 2-point differential in points, Jared Cook has outscored Amari Cooper, who is on Josh's team, 4 out of the 6 weeks. So there's a good chance not only will he cancel out Amari Cooper, but he'll outscore him, which is fantastic when you're talking your tight end is going to outscore the other team's wide receiver 2, 3. So again, I think this is going to be a good week for Craig. And there's also a wild card here. Another reason why I'm a little worried about Josh's squad, and that's Teddy Bridgewater. He's not even on either one of these teams. If Case Keenum comes out, throws a pick early, the offense stalls a couple times, doesn't cross the 50 in the first half, Teddy Bridgewater is going to be on that sideline. They're going to have him warming up just to see how his arm feels, see how much zip he has. And if that zip's hot, if those balls are fire, man, they're not even gonna pause. They're gonna throw Teddy Bridgewater in their third quarter for the second half, and Case Keenum's gonna be on the bench. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think Case Keenum's been doing okay this year. I think he's gonna get his last game of the year this week for sure. But it's a wild card, man. It could happen. No one's coming to Philip Rivers. He's gonna finish the game, barring an injury. My call for this week is that the Los Angeles Chargers defense taking on the Buffalo Bills and their new rookie quarterback, Peterson, will be a top 7 defense play this week. Meaning it's good for us. We're a 14-team league. That means it's a top-end starting unit this week. All right, my next preview is one of the big 3 this week with the Carlos taking on the Bag of Ditkas. Carlos sits at 5-5 in 8th place and 4th in points. So again, if he can just climb his way back up the ladder a little bit, he'll have some ammunition to break some ties. While Steve sits at 6-4 in 6th place and 9th in points. So he really needs to get this win to push Carlos down, get a little separation, and get himself, at least hopefully in the top 4. Because again, if he's sitting at 5 or 6, he's going to sit there because he's not going to go past anyone being 9th in points. Both have some injury concerns going into the week, as we have 2 Willie Beeman winners, highly questionable, with Leonard Fournette for JJ and Sterling Shepard for Steve. Leonard Fournette hits his ankle, it's been giving him trouble. He had partial practices Wednesday and Thursday, but then had no practice on Friday, which is going the wrong way. You want to get a little more, not a little none. So we'll see what happens. And we've already seen Jacksonville's not afraid to bench him, especially not when they're playing the Cleveland Browns. They might think they can win without him. As for Sterling Shepard, we really don't know what happened. He actually practiced on Friday, but then he got sick supposedly, some kind of illness. Maybe it's had a stomach virus. Who knows? But again, you hate to see a questionable tag pop up in the middle of Friday night, Saturday morning. In the game, I think JJ will definitely win the wide receiver battles this week. He has Tyreek Hill going to New York Giants, and I think he's going to be freaking out all day, getting tons of points. I think JJ will definitely win the wide receiver battle, as he has Tyreek Hill visiting New York Giants, who, as I said earlier, just mailed it in, and I can see Tyreek Hill having a really nice day there. And he also has Jerry Maclin, who's going to be visiting Green Bay. And Green Bay just made Dontrell Inman a top 20 wide receiver last week. So if they can make Dontrell Inman a top 20, they could probably let Jerry Maclin get there too. Now, where Steve has a really solid chance to get the win is as running backs and tight end, especially if Fournette is out or on a snap count. He has Melvin Gordon playing Buffalo, who's been kind of cold the last couple of weeks, and I don't see them turning it around that much in the first start of their new rookie quarterback as he takes over. So I think Melvin Gordon is going to eat. He's going to have a good day. And then if the Giants, again, they've mailed it in, but the last couple of weeks they've played relatively close for the first half. And Orleans Darkwa has proven it, if you let him run the ball a couple times, he'll put up some points. So if the Giants can at least hang around for a little bit, Orleans Darkwa should put up a handful of points and could do some damage. And then he has Travis Kelce. And as I've already said a couple times, the Giants have mailed it in. Again, I think Tyreek Hill's going to have a good day. I think Kareem Hunt's going to have a good day. Alex Smith, we're going to get to him in a minute, I think he's going to have a good day. So yeah, let's just throw Travis Kelce in there too. I think it's going to be a good day all around for the Chiefs. Again, one of them is probably not going to luck out. Someone's probably not going to get a touchdown. But Hunt, Kelce, Hill, 2 of the 3 are going to get in the end zone. At least, if not all 3. And then we do have a wild card on JJ's team, which is Dion Lewis. I say wild card because he's a New England Patriot running back. And we just never know. The snap counts on those teams, the down and distances, there's just no consistent, who's going to go in, who's doing what, who's the goal line back, who's receiving back. I mean, there's no way to really tell what's going to happen, especially, I don't think Bill Belichick knows. There's no game script for him. It's just what he feels like doing at the moment. So Dion Lewis could come in and he could have a 17-point game like last week, or he could have a 6-point game. All right, and my call for this game is that while Derek Carr is currently projected for less points than Dak Prescott on JJ's team, I do think Derek Carr will score more points than Dak Prescott this week.
All right, and here we go with my final matchup here for the Week 11 preview show for the Fantasy League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And this matchup features our first-place team, OG Billy Witch Doctor, taking on the 3-7 Chicago Bears, coached by Kristen. You look at this matchup, you think, easy cakewalk for Jeremy and the Witch Doctor, right? He sits in first place. Kristen's only got 3 wins. Well, I'm gonna look at this a little bit deeper here, and let's see if we can make a case for Kristen pulling out her 4th win of the season and knocking Jeremy down a peg. So looking at Kristen's team, you got Russell Wilson playing at home versus the Atlanta Falcons. Wilson's been real hot of late, and they really don't have a running game. They keep losing running backs left and right there in Seattle. And so Wilson's rushing more, and he looks more comfortable doing so. He looks healthy, and he's projected for 19 right now, and I think he hits that, and I think he hits it pretty easily. This game has shootout potential written all over it, especially with 2 main cogs out of that Seahawks secondary. Atlanta could put up some points here, and I also like Russell Wilson to answer back. That Jimmy Graham connection's been hot. So I think the crux here is, does Russell Wilson rush for a touchdown? I think if he gets in for the rushing touchdown, he obviously is going to go over that 19-point projection. Another player I really like on Kristen's team is Devontae Parker. Parker going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary, which is just hot garbage this year. I mean, they can't cover anything. They're terrible. And Parker just in huge volume. I mean, you're talking 10, 12 targets a game, and he's projected for 8 points right now. But if he can break loose for one against a really bad secondary, Jay Cutler likes to throw it deep to him. So I could see him doubling that projection if he is able to hit the end zone on a long bomb here. The other guy I really like, Mr. Consistency, Adam Thielen for the Minnesota Vikings. Another guy that sees tons of volume as far as targets in the passing game, but is a little bit touchdown challenged, right? So had a real big week last week. If he hits the end zone, he's going to go off again. But he's projected for 10. If he can get himself into the end zone, I see him hitting, a ceiling of 15 to 17 points. So Kristen's got some players that I think could overachieve this week and, turn the tide in her favor. Now you look at the OG Billy Witch Doctor side, of course rolling with Jared Goff again at quarterback. Goff currently projected for 17. And, I'm not sure about this matchup. Vikings and the Rams are 2 really good offenses, 2 really good defenses. So I think this could go either way. Really volatile matchup here. It could be a high-scoring affair with, teams just, shoot out on both sides. Or it could be a grinder. It could be 2 teams, really looking for seeding spots here in the NFC. So a little bit unpredictable. Goff projected for 17. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what he does there. Also, Julio Jones, just been a bust this year, right? A fantasy football bust. He's still one of the best receivers in football. Commands a lot of attention, but from fantasy perspective, I don't know. I think he's in the mid-30s maybe even lower than that as far as productive wide receivers. And I don't think he starts anything big here in going into Seattle. They do have Devontae Freeman going to miss this game with a concussion, but I don't think that means they throw it more to Julio. I think that just means a lot of volume for Tevin Coleman. Julio projected for 11. I don't think he hits that mark. I think if he hits half that, Jeremy's going to be lucky in this one. Now, one player that I really like a lot this week and, could tilt the scales for Jeremy is Jay Ajayi. It's going to be his second game back with the Eagles, or second game with the Eagles since he got traded. And, they're going to run the ball a lot against Dallas. Sean Lee out of the middle for them. And they're a much different defense when he sits, much more susceptible to the run. So I like the Eagles to lean on Ajayi, especially with Jeffrey a little bit banged up. So, the math on paper, it says, Jeremy first place should win this matchup. But I'm pulling for Kristen here. So Kristen, let's get that fourth win on the season and knock Jeremy down a peg here. And, have a good time this week, guys. We're coming down the home stretch. It's been a hell of a year so far, so let's see how it all finishes up. And we'll see you for the Week 11 recap show in just a few days. Happy football.
All right, my next previews might be a little rough. This is going to be off the cuff as I can't seem to get Josh's last preview to come off our line app. So I'm going to be breaking down the Dirty Slovaks versus Joski. The projected score as it stands after Thursday night's football game is 87-82, favoring the Dirty Slovaks, after we got 9 points from Le'Veon Bell. In this game, we have two good quarterbacks going as Carson Wentz at Dallas for the Slovaks, and of course, Matthew Stafford and the Lions visit Chicago for Joski. Wentz is projected for 20, while Stafford's projected for 15. Those sound about right to me in both cases. At the wide receivers, the Slovaks have Adams, Jeffrey, and Amendola. Jeffrey and Amendola are both questionable. At least one of those will probably play, if not both. But I don't see either one having that huge of a game. Dante Adams has been doing good. He's the one Green Bay wide receiver that's been doing good, but he's going to be playing versus Baltimore, which is just going to be messy. While on the flip side, Joe has A.J. Green at Denver, who last year that would have been death. This year, Denver defense hasn't been the same. They've been getting scored on, so that could actually work out okay for him. He's got Golden Tate at Chicago, which Golden Tate has been killing it this year. He's a wide receiver 1 on the year so far, so I think he's going to keep it going. He's got Sammy Watkins at Minnesota, which, Sammy Watkins doesn't really catch that many passes, but he might not have to. I mean, dude, he just needs one long touchdown catch. That's what he does. That's all he does this year. So if he can get that one catch, Joe will be fine. For Joe, there's Jerick McKinnon and Amir Abdullah. Again, Jerick McKinnon is playing the LA Rams, who are a good defense. And when the Vikings play good defenses, he tends to have better games as the game script changes, so he gets more work. Amir Abdullah at Chicago, he's not really been doing that great, but he fell into the end zone last week. Maybe they can do it again at Chicago. He should have plenty of opportunity to run the ball. And then, of course, Joe's got Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham's been doing great this year. He's got a matchup versus Atlanta. Doesn't scare me. He's their red zone threat right now in Seattle, so he could easily come away with a touchdown. But so could Adams, tight end, Rob Gronkowski. I mean, he could come away with 2 touchdowns. They're playing the Oakland Raiders, who last year were the worst team against tight ends. And this year, they're just middle of the range, middle of the pack, so to say. But Gronk could easily have 2 touchdowns, especially if this game turns into a shootout like most people think it will be. And he also has Rex Burkhead going in the same game for the Patriots. Again, as I said about Deion Lewis, they're all wild cards. All the Patriot running backs, you really don't know what's going to happen. Though Rex Burkhead has led the team in actual snaps, not in carries, but in snaps over the last 3 weeks since he's been back. So that's a good sign, and he could see enough run to make himself worthwhile, 10-plus point RB2 this week. On the defensive side, Detroit at Chicago, that's fine. Should be okay. Kansas City at New York Giants. Again, as I've said this whole show, I think if you got Kansas City players, start them. Their defense, might as well. I don't know if they're going to shut them down, but I think there's going to be enough mistakes made on the Giants' part. They're going to get down quick enough that they're going to have to throw some deep passes, get a pick or 2, get a couple of sacks, So I think our defense will do just fine. Let's see here. For a call for this game, oh man. Well, the Lions are going to Chicago to play the game. And that's always the biggest ticket for Joe. Any game when you play Joe, all you have to do is look at the Detroit Lion game. Just put that on the background somewhere, and you know how your team's doing. So I guess I have to make something based off of that. And okay, here we go. Actually, we can do it like this. Joe has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Detroit Lion players going in the game, Detroit at Chicago. While Adam has 1, 2, 3, 4 New England Patriots going at Oakland. So, we're going to chip in Carson Wentz in that equation just because he needs a quarterback or it's not even going to be close. So, who's going to score more points? Adam's 4 Patriots with Carson Wentz, or Joski's 5 Detroit Lions players at Chicago. I gotta go with the Patriots, man. At Oakland, I think it's gonna be a shootout. So my call is that Wentz and the Patriots will outscore Joski's Lions this week. Alright, and as for my pick for this game, you have to give me a minute. I have to search up through my app here, just double check. Alright, good. That's what I thought. Alright, for this game, I picked the Dirty Slovaks, Adam, to get the win. Alright, in my last matchup, we have Yay Boys in Spandex versus Nuzzy Futz. Yay Boys in Spandex, I hate to say it, but are the first and only team so far eliminated from the playoff race, as they sit at 2-8 in 14th place. While Aaron and his Nuzzy Futz are currently 6-4 and in 4th place, and sit at first in points, which is why they are currently in the 4th spot and, as of today, in the playoffs. The original projection was 65-91. After Thursday, it is now 67-91, as Tree got 18 points from Marcus Mariota and 3 from Martavis Bryant. Now, the projections aren't giving Tree much of a chance, and to be honest again, I picked Nuzzy Futz, so I guess in my heart of hearts, I'm not giving her much of a chance either. But I do think she'll put up a fight, just like she did last week when she scored 84 points on Joe. I think she's going to have a decent enough game, beat her projection again. And a funny twist of fate here, she's going up against her first-round pick from last year, Alex Smith, who, while last year that was definitely a very, very big reach, this year Alex Smith has actually played like a first-round quarterback, as he is, I believe at the moment, the 3rd highest-ranked fantasy quarterback on the year. And he's going to get to visit the New York Giants, as I believe I've already said like 4 or 5 times. I think it's going to be a good day for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I think he's going to put up some numbers. And again, that's just going to help Nuzzy Futz out. It's probably going to give him the win right there. And then Tex is actually banking on a pair of Vikings pass catchers, with Stefon Diggs and Kyle Rudolph playing the LA Rams. In the same game, he has Todd Gurley going as well. So that's putting a lot of dice in that one game. And again, the Vikings and the Rams are 2 of the hottest offenses in the league right now, but they've also got 2 of the best defenses in the league right now. So one of those is going to have to break. Is it going to be the defense or is it going to be the offenses? We'll see what happens. If the defenses break, this is going to be a landslide win for Aaron. If the defenses hold, if that number 1 Vikings run defense holds especially, and Todd Gurley is held to single digits, Tree's going to have a chance. Maybe not for the win, but at least to throw a little fear into him, as the day progresses. Again, Tree actually has some decent plays. She has 2 intriguing plays at running back, with Alex Collins at Green Bay and Isaiah Crowell versus Jacksonville. Now, again, I don't think either one of those games is going to be very high scoring, but Green Bay is not going to blow anybody out. And I think Baltimore's defense is going to keep the game even slower than the Bears-Packers was last week. I think it's going to be a lot of groundwork for the Ravens. And I think Alex Collins is going to get some work, and maybe, just maybe, he's going to get his first touchdown of the year this week. While Isaiah Crowell, one of the few places you can attack the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is on the ground, especially if they're going to bring their nice, sunny Florida Florida blood and Florida everything else. Nice, sunny, warm weather still. Going to come to Cleveland, middle of November. Snow's going to be on the ground. It's going to be frigid. And there's a chance they might not be prepared for that. And Isaiah Crowe might be able to take advantage of it, lower that shoulder, bring the boom a couple times, and maybe I'll get some run going as well. And that's actually my call for this game. My call is that Tree's two running backs, Collins and Crowell, who are projected for 14 points, will outscore Adams' pair of running backs, Gurley and Howard, who are actually projected for 27 points. So almost double the score. But I think this week, these matchups, I do believe Collins and Crowell will outscore Gurley and Howard. I don't believe that he's got Corey Coleman in over Keenan Allen. I know Keenan Allen hasn't got a point so far, but he's still getting targeted. I think he's the 11th highest targeted receiver in the league. Corey Coleman, who knows what's going to happen? Again, the whole game might be a mess. So I think for sure Keenan Allen will outscore Corey Coleman as well. Just a bonus call. And I hate to do it to you, Tex. I love you, brother. But, man, if Tree wins this game, I'm telling you right now, if Tree wins this game, you have no one to blame but yourself. Because for the third straight week, you are giving yourself that bad voodoo, boy. Who's your defense? Who you start? Baltimore Ravens. Who's your team? Why is your blood green and gold? Because you love the freaking Packers, man. Who are the Ravens playing this week? The freaking Packers. Stop playing the defense that's playing your squad. It's killing you this season, man. It's bad voodoo, man. You gotta stop doing it. And the great thing, and I mean, it's tragic. Again, if she pulls off this victory, it's gonna be tragic because her starting defense this week is the Green Bay Packers. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for the preview show. Good luck this weekend.